Global Esports and Academic Summit. 2020 has been a very trying year for everybody. We're living through this every single day, so I don't want to dwell on what's going on in 2020, but I'd like to talk about some things that has really been a shining beacon to me all year, last year, for the 5 years that I've been running the Twitch student program. Um, I can say this program really, really affects me very deeply. When we talk about the existential question of what is the meaning of life, it could be summed up, at least to me, in two parts, and that's love and purpose. And if you can find love in your purpose and purpose in your love, you are way, way ahead of the game. So, um, some of the things I'd like to talk about: why does these new collegiate esports and high school esports program really make me so happy and so passionate? And I'll tell you, it's for three reasons. One, I'm seeing that the coaches and directors and the educators that are part of this program are leading by example. They're leading with passion, they're leading with knowledge, they're leading with the understanding that a lot of the times the students know a lot more about this space than they do themselves. So they work together. I think that's a really, really great way to start this conversation is the leading by example by the coaches, directors, educators. NACAD is a particular favorite of mine. A second way is that these esports programs are leading by example in a different way. The educational system really doesn't encourage nor entice sharing of knowledge, sharing of curriculum, sharing of any plans at an individual university. But with these esports programs, it's really, really amazing. Every last university I work with, every last administrator, every last student, every last coach and director, whatever they work on for years and years, as soon as it's complete and it's a finished product, it's tried and proven, they share it. They share it not only with their colleagues and their peers, they share it with universities around the world. And we're extremely grateful for this because it's giving universities and high schools in Spain, in the United Kingdom, and Singapore, it's given them a leg up and it's saving them a lot of time and resources to not have to redo some of the trials and tribulations that we've encountered in the last 5 years. Um, a last thing that really does it for me, especially this year, is that I see that esports is there for students when not much else is this year, and the students are there for each other. You see a lot of these universities now saying, okay, students are home, they need something to do, there's nothing on the schedule. Let's create something ourselves. So you could see a lot of great examples from Harrisburg University, UCLA, UCI. They're putting together their own tournaments, not so much for, I mean, of course, it's rivalries. We're always going to have these rivalries. But I think a lot of the motivation is for there to be a means for students to come together when there's not much other way to do it. So I think that's really interesting. If you look at the three things, leading by example in three different ways, students coming together and saying, students are home, they're going out of their mind. There's a lot going on right now in the world. As you can see, this is the air of Seattle right now. That is not fog, that is smoke. Um, so it's really nice to see, the universities, the coaches, everybody stepping up, leading by example, and the students being there for each other. So another thing I really like about this program, it's the first time in a very long time, I think, where um, the industry has a bridge to educators and students to be able to solve some of the problems that we have in this industry. So as you know, as old as the industry might seem, because we've been doing this for quite some time, there's still a lot of problems. There's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of known unknowns that we just can't solve. Um, and I see programs like the Twitch student program, Coursera student, NVIDIA GeForce student, led by Dom. These are kind of like a bridge, right? We're in the industry. We know what we need. Sometimes we don't even know what we need. And then working with programs like this, it creates that bridge, almost like the old school Texas Instruments. Oh, we can't hire. Let's create a university and let's make sure that university focuses on what we need to hire for, strong STEM skills, right? Um, So now we have somebody like me, Kevin, Dom, Eugenia. We're all out here in the industry listening. Um, and then when we listen and we identify problems, we create that bridge now to educational institutions saying, okay, this is a problem, right? And the best business is always not making money, but making money solving a problem, creating a bridge between a problem and a solution. And that's what I think these kind of programs are doing right now with the students' help. There's a really great quote an administrator told me, and I use this for business justifications all the time for every single company I want to bring into the student space. And I tell them very simply, this is a quote from an administrator: if you want to predict the future, ask a student what they're dreaming of. That's how much more of a business justification do you need to help create that bridge between problems and solutions by young, passionate, confident, educated communities that really want to be a part of something like this, really want to contribute in new, exciting, different ways. No more of the same old, right? Where businesses are meant to be in the service of those that purchase products or do whatever the case may be. Um, but now we have a real chance to not guess anymore. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm not in the habit of guessing. It's very inefficient. So when Twitch asks me, how do we create a program in 5 years that now scaled out to 26 countries, thousands of universities and high schools, um, you know, how do you scale out like that? And it's a very simple response is that we don't scale, the students scale. If they get a little support, they get a roadmap, and they have the opportunity to work with people in the industry and work with administrators. Everything comes together, creates that perfect solution to the problems that we have in the industry. And I'm pretty sure some that's not going to be identified. So why don't we just listen? Do what we're told. So the Twitch student program isn't my program. Right? I took a whole entire year and I traveled the world and I spoke to students and administrators and educators all over the world. And I said, how can we be of service? Please tell me, what's your hopes and dreams? What's some moonshot goals for programs with industry working with educators and students? And all I simply did was listen, write things down, put it in the format that allows me to feed my tigers, show business justification, share a great story. Um, so this program isn't mine. Student programs aren't ours. It's the students, it's the administrators, right? We're in their service, we're listening. It's efficient. Efficiency to me as a time accelerator, it allows me to do more with less time. So I want to thank all the students, all the coaches, directors, educators that took the time to help me understand what is needed, what is best for the students, right? Even educators in the esports space, they really only think about what's good for the students. So they listen as well, for the most part. Um, we all have our constraints. So I love that feeling of bridge. So we have this great example of leading by example on many different levels. We have this bridge now that allows the industry to listen and then understand how students can graduate as young professionals that are eager, educated, and empowered to contribute. Um, and that leads me to the last point I'd like to talk about is that these programs now, to me, when I started the program in 2015, it was meant to do one thing, and that was to empower students to have their voice heard. We have the perfect mediums in this industry. We have some schools and some students broadcasting quite a bit now, and they're getting that confidence that their voice actually means something to somebody outside of their parents or their friend group. That feeling of empowerment, that confidence through education that's delivered in an appropriate medium, in an appropriate way, in a brand new industry that literally we have not started. We're still laying foundations. We're still trying to figure out what the transition is between digital media, traditional sports, esports. We're all trying to figure that out. Students are helping us figure that out. So I think it's really important. But most importantly, I love what students are telling me. This is what gets me up out of bed in the morning. This is what keeps me up at night. They talk to me about three things. And in turn, I talk to the industry about the three things that students tell me. And I could sum it up as compassionate capitalism, social entrepreneurship, and the emergence of the passion economy. I'm not a big fan of the gig economy. I really, really do love the passion economy. If anybody has a little time later in the day and just want to Google the passion economy and read it, this is where we are. And with all the students' help, with all the educators' help, it can only grow. It can only become stronger and stronger. The passion economy is quite empowering. Social entrepreneurship and compassionate capitalism, to me, just means the absence of zero sum. Zero sum basically means for me to make a dollar, you have to lose a dollar. I think that's very 1980s. I think we're in a different place. I think that we can all come together, put food on our table, but look out for each other. Make sure that our glass is full, but not collect glasses. No one needs 8 glasses, 8 full glasses. So this is the idea of compassionate capitalism. This is the idea of social entrepreneurship. How can we solve problems? How can we help people have a better life? And how can we earn a living? So that's the new way to think. And I thank the students and Kevin Huang, who's on my team, for helping me understand where students are. I'll be 50 years old this year. I think I know. I'd rather not guess. Again, I listen. Um, and this is what's really, really exciting. This feeling that students are going to graduate and the industry is going to know that you're not an individual contributor, recent graduate. No, no, no. With programs like this, you graduate as an empowered, confident, um, team playing young professional. Why? All these skills are digital media skills. They're highly transferable, highly valuable in the 21st century. These kind of programs allow students to have portfolios that exemplify their contributions, their inputs and outputs in a qualitative and quantitative kind of way through the data that is inherent in digital media. So when you graduate, and let's say you're a marketing student and you took classes in marketing and emerging new and digital media through gaming and esports. And then you walk out of the classroom, whether you're a gamer or not, you become part of the community, the esports community, be just simply to apply what you're learning in school and create a digital media strategy. These kind of portfolios now will have those inputs and outputs. They will have data saying, okay, I started at this date. I I implemented this digital media strategy. Here is where Twitter is now. Here's where Facebook now. Here's how our YouTube channel. Here is our Twitch channel. This is the growth that my plan has given our school over the course of 3 years. Now, with high school programs, if we get a little bit more time, you're going to see high school program students graduating into these great university programs. And when they graduate, they're not going to graduate with 2 or 3 years of experience to put on their resume and portfolio. They're going to have 6, 7 years of practical application of what they're learning in emerging new and digital media applied to the esports program. So they have qualitative and quantitative data that really shows that they're a young professional. They've worked with many different departments, many different students, and they all came together. I think that's a really exciting future. I got goosebumps on my arms. You can't see because I'm wearing I sold out a little bit today. Um, but yeah, so this is what gets me going. This is why I love these kind of programs. Besides the friends that I've made um, and the adventures and experiences I've had, this is a really feel good moment in my life. And Kevin and I really believe in the programs that you're creating. And we don't do this for a paycheck. We do this because we have love for it and it's our purpose. So I'd like to close with a last statement, uh, me begging a little bit, me asking a favor. Um, 2020 is really important. Um, you're empowered, you're confident, you've been shown a lot of love, you're enfranchised, right? Your voice does mean something. Every single student, every single young person in this world has latent power inside them to change the world. They've just been taught that their individual voice doesn't mean anything. This industry is the example that your individual voice does mean something. Your contributions can change the world, each and every one of us. So I would really love, if I might beg a favor, for everybody just to do a little quick research on what voting means to you at the local, state, and federal level. I know it's extremely complicated, but I think it's time. I think it's time for us all to have our voices heard, to educate ourselves on the voting process and the political processes that are inherent in our great democracy, um, and exercise that power that you have, exercise that right that you have. We can start this year, but local is as important as federal, if not more important, because this will directly relate to you, your neighborhoods, and the city that you live in. Um, so yeah, please, you're you're empowered now. You know that you have a tremendous amount of value, not only to your family, but those that you surround yourselves with, those in the program with you. So I'm working with gamers.vote. I don't know if anybody's heard of it, but they have a great way to educate you and help you get registered and just be a part of the political process and exercise your civic duty, and express yourself. Let people know that, you know, 2020 is a new year. We had a rough ride, but it woke us. Um, there's a lot of problems that need to be solved. The political process really is the beginning and end. Everything else is in the middle. So please, if you can, educate yourself on voting, what it means to you, local, state, and federal, and be a part of the process. Have your voice heard. Everything's leading towards this moment, of young, empowered, enfranchised, confident young professionals coming out and changing the world together. And that's really huge. Together, right? Together we can make a difference. Together we can have our voices heard. We can make a difference. So closing with that, I'm 2 minutes over, but I want to say thank you to everybody. This has been the best 5 years of my life, and I hope that you'll have me and student programs and esports and gaming for now on, going forward, because I think we've set a really great example of what could be. Thank you.